Hello, and welcome back to Start Smart with Heart. This podcast is about asset literacy, leadership, and building systems that support long-term stability for individuals, families, and communities. In our last episode, we talked about creating a simple plan for long-term stability. Today, we're focusing on something that determines whether that plan actually works, sustaining momentum. Because starting is important, but continuing, especially when life gets busy, is what creates results.
Why momentum matters. Momentum is what keeps progress moving forward. It builds through consistent action over time. When momentum is strong, decisions feel easier. Habits feel natural. Progress feels steady. But when momentum slows down, it can be difficult to restart. And that's something many people experience. Life gets busy. Responsibilities increase, unexpected challenges come up, and the habits that once felt manageable begin to fade, and this is normal. But understanding how to maintain momentum can make a significant difference. And we're going to talk why consistency breaks down. Well, consistency doesn't usually just stop because people don't care. It stops because life becomes full and schedules change, energy shifts, priorities compete for attention. Sometimes people feel like if they can't do everything, they shouldn't do anything. But that mindset can slow down progress. Consistency does not require perfection. It requires adaptability. Even small actions can maintain momentum. Reviewing information for a few minutes, checking in on goals, taking one small step forward. These actions may seem minor, but they keep the process active. Now we're going to talk about simplifying this process. One of the best ways to sustain momentum is to simplify the process. When systems are too complicated, they're harder to maintain, but when they are simple, they are easier to continue. This might look like keeping a short list of priorities, setting aside a small, consistent amount of time, focusing on one step at a time. Now, the goal is not to do everything at once. The goal is to stay engaged, because staying engaged keeps progress moving forward. Now we'll talk about returning without starting over, because another important part of sustaining momentum is knowing how to return after a pause. There may be times when consistency is interrupted. That does not mean progress is lost. It simply means it's time to continue. Not restart from the beginning, but continue from where you are. This shift in thinking is important because it removes pressure and allows people to re-engage without feeling like they have to start over. Progress is not erased by pauses. It continues when we return. Now, before we close, I want to share a short piece of wisdom. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 1. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is stupid. Now, this verse reminds us that discipline, steady, ongoing effort is essential for growth. It also reminds us to stay open to learning and adjusting along the way. I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of Start Smart with Heart. Now, this episode encouraged you to stay consistent even when life gets busy. Consider sharing it with someone who might benefit from the message. Now, next time, we'll talk about how leadership grows from personal discipline and consistent action. Until then, start smart and lead with heart.